What's up, YouTubers? I'm here at Fort Stewart, Georgia, Fort Stewart Army Base. This is where I was stationed when I was in the military. I served 4 years at 703rd BSB Battalion. I'm gonna show you a little something of where we did PT, and where the battalion headquarters were. So I'm here now, getting out the car. All right, I'm gonna face the camera this way. So this is where we did our PT in the morning, physical training, and that's the building over there where our battalion headquarters were. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little walk around memory lane. So my time here at Fort Stewart, oh man, it was not a good time for me. It was not a good era for me at all. I was young. I was I had an ego this big. I didn't know anything. And then the people around me were no help at all. I had some people here and there who tried to, hey, let's go ahead and you need to work on this and work on that. But for the most part, no one was there, to really help me out. And when I say no one, I'm talking about men that look like me. Those men, they most of the part, they weren't there for me. But however, my time here, I would never forget it, because it's where I learned a lot about people here, right? I learned a lot about genuineness. I learned a lot about people that were fake, right? People that were so-called real. Learned about, true friendship. Learned about, people just, when they need you for something. I learned about discipline. I learned about, hey, hurry up and wait, which is a big one in the military. I learned about how to, where do you want to be, after you leave the military. There were a lot of, so it was very flooded here with military contractors, back between 2007 and 2011. This place was flooded. It might still be flooded today. And I would have conversations with, civilians who used to be soldiers, and they would tell me how much they were making, and man, I used to just flip out, because at the time, my check was maybe $1,100 a month after taxes, so I was real upset about that. But at the time, not realizing that, you have no experience, you have no college degree, you have no skin in the game whatsoever, and I was always, jealous of other people, in a lot of ways. Jealousy was a big thing for me. It was a big thing in this unit a lot of times. The disrespect behind closed doors, turned into, very noble, honorable people, when when certain people with a certain rank would come, would walk in the room, now it's the respect comes back. But this is not the, and I'm mentioning the highs and the lows with this as well, because I don't want anyone to think that, hey, it was just all bad here. It wasn't. But what I would say is that for me personally, because of who I was, right, for the most part, and I have to take accountability for it, right, for who I was, I was not an adult. I was still a kid. I was still a child, because I was not mature. I did not know anything about anything. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm very intelligent. I'm very smart. I can run circles around this thing. I can do it all day. And some things I could, but the biggest flaw that I had at that time was not learning to listen. Learning to shut up and listen is one of the most important skills that you can have as a human being, especially as a young human being who's trying to thrive and who's trying to, have a great future. So I'm gonna pause real quick. So this is where we would come in the morning. You know, we would either park over here as well. You know, this is the other side of the parking lot, and we would come right here in front, and this is where our company would do PT. Our battalion would do PT in the morning. We would like in this very spot right here. You know, combative matches. You know, I mean, it was, you know, a lot of things were great. You know, but they were more, you know, my experience in the military was more, you know, more bad than good. You know, and like I said, you know, of course, you know, I've mentioned me, you know, and then also, you know, there were, you know, the people around me, the people, you know, the people in the unit, you know, there was so much, you know, trying to get ahead, you know, there were a lot of crabs in the buckets, you know, and as a soldier, you know, you hear a lot of things, you know, as a soldier, as an E4 and below, you hear a lot of things from, you know, senior NCOs, you know, or NCOs in general, you know, going head to head, butting head with these young lieutenants, you know, or these captains, you know, or these first sergeants and E8s, you know, bumping heads, you know, with these warrant officers and majors. You know, there were a lot of bumping heads here, and there was, you know, there was not, I did not, when I was here thinking back on it, there was no clear goal. There was no clear goal, you know, being here, from what I remember. You know, everything was just chaotic, you know, like I said, for me, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I was a follower. You know, I was never a leader here, you know, at Fort Stewart. Yeah, I was never a leader here. You know, I was always a follower. Always, you know, hey, what do you need me to do? Fill sandbags? Okay. You know, report to staff duty? Yeah. You know, it was, you know, it was trying times, you know, but one thing I will say, and this is true today, it was true 14, 15, 16 years ago, and it'll always be true. One of the best decisions that I made from a professional standpoint was joining the military. That's one of the best things, one of the best decisions that I made in my life was joining the military. Because you can take those skills, you know, the military, you know, it's like just think of like a pie chart, right? On a pie chart, you have all these things, right? Those different slices of pies, you know, that all these different things that you're doing, the military has you doing. You're like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. I'm so sick of this. I have to do this, I have to do that. You know, this has nothing to do with my job. You know, I didn't sign up for this. When you get out of the military, all of those skills, all of those things that you hated to do, all those things you didn't want to do, when you go into other jobs, when you go and apply here and apply there, you're like, oh man, I did this. You know, I did this for years. You know, oh man, you know, and you think back on it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I got this knowledge, this information. You know, you want to call people up and say, hey man, thank you. I appreciate you for making me do this. You know, even though I didn't want to, I hated doing that at the time. You know, but I thank you for pushing me to be a better soldier. I thank you for putting me in the mindset of being diverse, you know. And from that point on, when you realize that, you know, you start to ascend greatly, you know. Now, like I said, for me, although there was a lot of things that I didn't like when I was here, you know, there, you know, from myself, how I conducted myself, you know, how I embarrassed myself a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? Whether I said stupid stuff or done stupid stuff, you know, from my own leadership, you know, that was little to no help in, you know, helping me become a better man, you know, because here's the thing. You can help someone become, you know, you can do all you can to try to help someone become a better soldier. But I'm gonna tell you right now, you know, You're not always going to be a soldier. You always going to be a man. You know. And I know if I was still in today, that would be my speech to the young soldiers coming in. Hey, I want you to be a great soldier, but understand this, I need you to be a great man. I need you to be a great man first. You know, doing the soldier thing, that's fine, that's perfect. But if you don't have that foundation as a man, there's no way that you being a soldier is going to translate throughout life. Because I have a lot of friends who left here who weren't men, but they were great soldiers. And then when it all ended, either because of injury, either because they were forced out, for psychological reasons. It takes a major dip in their life because they were great soldiers, phenomenal soldiers. Some of the best of the best, but they didn't know how to be men outside of being a soldier. Yeah. Now, when I left Fort Stewart in 2011, my life took a turn for the worse, right? My life took a turn for the worse. Something happened, right? Which is, of course, my fault as well, right? Got to take accountability as always. And I went to prison for 3.5 years, right? 3.5 years. Now, a lot of my family members watching this, they're going to be very shocked about this. A lot of people who know me will be very shocked about this because, if you know me today, you'll say there's no way this guy went to prison for 3.5 years and then, turned out to be the man he is today. So during those 3.5 years, you have a lot of time to sit down and really think about all the times you've messed up, all the times, everything that you've done wrong in your life and what you can do to make things better, right? But to fast forward, while I was there, that was the most I've ever read in my entire life, outside of college. Outside of college, you're gonna do some reading in college. There's no way I can, nothing you do unless you're a lawyer, you are not gonna, and even then, you're not gonna read or research anything as much as you do when you're in college. I can guarantee you that. But so that's what I started, going and refurbishing myself in so many ways. Working out, learning, picking up, books, finding ways to make sure I'm successful when I get out, because there's nothing worse than being green and then being put in a situation to grow up quickly. I don't care what type of skill set you have. If you don't have it up here mentally, it's going to be very hard for you to adjust because there's a lot of things that you're going to have to tell yourself, hey, don't do this because if we do this, it won't end well on either side. So after that stint, I got out of when I got out of prison, because there was also a lot of things I didn't know about. I didn't know about, I had the post 9/11 GI Bill. I didn't know about military, disability plan and everything. I didn't know about these things. No one talked to me about these things. So the first year I got out of the military, and before then I hated school. I couldn't stand school. When I was in high school, I got C's, D's, and F's. That's what I got in high school. There's a lot of things that transpired to why my grades were so poor, but that's what I got. It was terrible. It was, my grades were an embarrassment. But however, in college is something that you can control as an adult. You can control what you major in. You can control what you choose. So going to college for me, that kind of restarted and rebooted, everything in my life. And the only reason why I was able to go to college, right, not only for free, right? Well, I'm not going to say it was for free because this is something that I earned, something I put my money into, right? So I was able to cash in on the time that I spent in the military, the money that I put towards that degree. Now, even though it was pennies on the dollars of what I contributed, it's still something that I paid for, right? So imagine being able to go to college for free, having your tuition, having your college paid for within the parameters of, the military's budget, and also getting a monthly stipend for your living expenses as well. Whatever the BAH is, the housing amount is in that area. Imagine getting those things and being able to not worry about bills, not worried about working a full-time job right away, and just focusing on school. Imagine being able to do that for 36 months, and then now you have the knowledge, to not spend your money on crazy things, not to blow it on, one night at the club, one night out with the fellas, or spending, $200-$300 to impress, some girl, right? You putting that money towards your future. And that's where I got my reboot. That's where things started to go up for me. Because I've already reached my lowest point, right? I reached my lowest point. So the great thing about reaching your lowest point is that there's nowhere to go except up. And when there's a long way up, and you're happy, you're happy and what your goal is, man, I'm telling you, it's just this overwhelming feeling that just comes of like overwhelming of greatness that comes. It's like a surge through your body that says, yes, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be just fine. Yeah. And another great thing as well is if you're a hard worker. Now, even though I went to school, right, even though, the military gave me my stipend, I was still working at the time. I was still working. I think I had a job making maybe, $10-15 an hour, something like that. Warehouse job. I was doing boxes and stuff. But, it was something. Don't sound like much, right? But it was something. Yeah. Now, I'd probably jump off a roof today if I was getting paid $10, $15 an hour. No, I'm just kidding. But my point is, you have to start somewhere, right? It's okay to get that, to get that reboot in your life. That reboot, it doesn't mean that you're behind. You know what I'm saying? It just means that, hey, you know what? God says sometimes, hey, you know what? Let me sit you down. Let me sit you down right now because you're my child. I care about you. I love you. Let me sit you down because you're going to be great. You're going to be great. You're going to reach your full potential. I just need to sit you down so you can understand, to appreciate the things that I've done for you. Appreciate the things, that I've given you. Appreciate the things that I'm going to do for you. Yeah. I need you to be grateful for the experience, of hardship that I've given you. Now, as weird as that sounds, right? But like hardship, who wants that experience? Nobody wants it. But here's the thing. When you go through tough situations, there's nothing else, that can get in your way. When you grow up with nothing, come to the military, wide-eyed, green, thinking you know it all, and leave, right? You get out and you're just as terrible as you were when you came in, not only when I went to prison, right? It was not until I went to prison and served those 3.5 years in prison was when I was able to see life for what it is and not for what I wanted it to be. And once we start doing that, once we start seeing things for what they are and not for what we want them to be, I believe that our success rate and our drive will go through the roof. It worked for me, and I'm pretty sure it'll work for you. But I just want to share that story today. I know that I said I was going to show the golf course on my home. I'll do that in the next video. I may do one today, when I get back home. I'm about maybe 45 minutes from Fort Stewart. So I'll do it when I either when I get home or when I get or around maybe in the evening tomorrow. So, after the stock market opens up. But I just wanted to share that story with you all, because I understand that a lot of people, they don't know me. They don't know my history. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know what I've done to get to where I am today. But now you know, because this is something that I was very ashamed about for a long time. But now you know, right? But the great thing about it is that no matter, I don't care if somebody went to prison for 20 years, there's always an opportunity out here in the world. Always an opportunity out here to make as much money as you want, to be the best person that you want to be. It's always out here. The opportunity, they're infinite, very infinite, and I'm living proof of that. I don't have to work 20-hour days. I don't have to work 12-hour days if I don't want to. If I wanted to, I can sit home, wait till the stock market open, play with that for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, and then call it a day. But the reason why I work is because I tried to stay home, right? I tried to stay home. I tried it for about, I think, 2 weeks. After 2 weeks of staying home and not working, that's at this age, and I'm 36. At this age, if you staying home at 36, you can only golf so much. You can only wake up so early and go to the coffee shops to go work out. I don't, what I'm saying, it's hard for me to feel fulfilled if I'm not doing something that occupies at least 10 to 12 hours of my day. I need something to occupy that time, and preferably that's something where I can generate income, right? So, I'm a manager, at this, I won't say the company. I'm a general manager, at this company that does logistics. I get a decent salary, pretty good. Give me a pretty good salary. Then I have, my dividends from the stock. I do stock options. Calls, puts. I'm not a bull or a bear. I'm hybrid. So I don't pick and choose. I'm not selective. And what's ever doing good at the time, that's where I'm going with. I just read the chart, examine the charts, and go from there. But if there's anybody out there, any young guys, anyone, I don't care what age you are, hit me up, man. Hit me up, and I'm gonna show you, how you can get to that next level. Because in order to get to that next level, I believe you have to talk to someone who's there. In order for me to get to the next level, I have to talk to someone who's at this level or the level above that, right? I can't talk to someone who's on my level because they've never been to that next level. If I'm on level 36, I need to talk to someone that's on, at least level 40, because that's where I'm trying to get to. I want to prepare for that. I want to prepare for someone who's at level 60, level 70. That's the goal in life. But hey, God bless y'all. I'm gonna leave a link down in the description box. You go ahead and sign up for that Webull account. You can get up to $2,500 of free stock. Okay, use that link, click on it. Okay, that's your starter pack for wealth. That is your starter pack for wealth. All right, Do not ignore the things that I'm telling you, because I'm telling you, it takes a long road. It takes a long road. It's a long road to being successful, but you can make it very short by doing exactly what I did, and that's cut out all of the nonsense, all of the BS, and get serious about the things that you need to be serious about. Building financial wealth is very critical, very critical. It's very critical when it comes to not only your future, but your kids' future, your grandkids. Someone has to be the trailblazer. And I chose to be it. I chose to be the trailblazer. I'm okay with that. But I hope you are too. Somebody's going to have to be the trailblazer. So if you say you love your kids, you love your family as much as you say you do, you will start acting on it. Loving your family, loving your kids doesn't mean buying them fancy shoes and fancy clothes. That's not loving them. Sending them on expensive trips. That's not loving them. Loving them is setting them up for success. Making sure their starting point is a lot further than where you had to start. Because you can buy them all the clothes. You can do as much as you want to do for them. But spending money, contrary to popular belief, is a bad habit. Saving it, investing it, and then spending what you can afford after that. That's what you go off of. But God bless y'all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share this, right? Like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video, baby. Peace out. God bless y'all.